my name is Mason Bird, and I'm here to instruct you guys, the audience, on how to bake a Heath Bar toffee cake. This recipe is very simple. It only requires a few steps and a few ingredients. It doesn't break the bank. It's not one of those where you bake from scratch. You can if that is your preference, though. Do not make me feel like you have to bake from a box, because you do not. You can make it from scratch. It does not take long. This is one of my family favorites. I get requested to bake it every special occasion we have, and even more often than that. I try to keep it to special occasions, though, because once you take a bite of it, you're going to want to eat the whole cake. Pretty much devour it, because it is just so good. I am here to instruct the audience, which is you guys, on how to bake this cake. You're going to learn the step-by-step process of baking this cake and understanding specific measurements and why they are important in accomplishing this simple task. You will need a chocolate cake mix. I use Devil's Food Cake. You can use whatever you prefer. Any kind of chocolate cake will do. A 14-ounce condensed sweetened milk, 11.5 ounce jar or bottle of caramel syrup, 8 ounce whipped topping, and 8 ounce of Heath Bar toppings. Getting prepared. You need to be prepared before you bake this cake. You should have your pan out, your cooking spray, any of the ingredients you need to bake the cake with. Go ahead and get it out and prepared. And then the toppings for your cake should also be out and getting prepared. For the most part, whipped topping is in the freezer section, and so it is nice to let it just sit on the counter for about 15 minutes to thaw a little bit. That's why it's easier to spread onto the cake. So when you're baking the cake, you want to go ahead and follow the instructions on the box to bake the cake. Once the cake is done, you're going to take it out of the oven, and you can use the other side of a wooden spoon, a fork, any utensil you would prefer to poke holes in the cake, all over the cake. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be in any certain way, just holes for the caramel to seep through. The next step would be pouring the condensed milk and caramel syrup on top of those holes in the cake. That way they can seep into the cake while it is still hot. It's very important to do this while the cake is hot and not cooled down. After that process, you want to let the cake cool. And this is because you don't want to put whipped topping right onto a hot cake, because it will melt the topping and pretty much be milk-ish, and it won't be whipped topping. You want it to stay at the consistency it is. Once you put the whipped topping on, you can now put your final toppings on, which is Heath Bar. I take the Heath Bar toffee that's already broken up into a little bag. You can find this at any grocery store. And I just cut a little slit on the corner of it and just drizzle it on, or spread it on, whichever you would prefer. And then you want to stick it in the refrigerator to cool down and let everything just kind of seep together. And this would be your completed cake. It is so good. And now that you know how to complete this cake and the ingredients that it takes, baking can be so delicious and so easy for you guys, and I really hope that you enjoyed this speech.